DanDaDan is one of those series where things just kind of happen. It's not often that new abilities or upgrades are explained well, if at all, which can make it hard to tell what exactly is going on. This video aims to help with that, as we explain all the abilities of every spirit in DanDaDan. Let's start with Turbo Granny. This old hag has a fairly simple ability in concept. She can move really fast. Well, okay, it's 100 kilometers per hour, which is really fast on foot, but compared to a train or a car, it's really not that impressive. What does set her speed apart though is she can move at 100 kilometers per hour no matter what. She doesn't need time to get up to that speed or time to slow down when she wants to. And she can also take turns without slowing down either, which can give her an edge over other vehicles that do need to obey the laws of physics. Another important ability she has is teleporting through phones. We only see her use this in the first episode, but it's a pretty broken ability, as it essentially allows her to teleport to wherever a phone call is being made. Her final main ability is possession, which allows her to possess other beings, which gives her access to even more abilities. If she possesses another spirit, she is able to fuse with it, as we saw her fuse with the crab Earthbound spirit, which increased her strength and gave her access to even more abilities, as long as she was in the crab's territory of Shono City. When combined, she gained the ability to control a bunch of creepy hands when she was in the tunnel she was known for, and could also change the dimensions of the tunnel to make it inescapable. She was also able to summon a bunch of zombies from a graveyard on the edge of the crab's territory and control them, giving her an army that could aid her in her goal. Why she was able to control these zombies is never outright told to us, but there are some hints in the Earthbound crab that she fused with, who we will be talking about in a little bit. If she possesses a human, she has the ability to curse them and take control of their body, although humans will generally fight back against this possession as much as they can. This curse is actually what gave Okarun his powers, and since they could be considered an extension of Turbo Granny's abilities, I think we should go over them as well. At the very beginning of the series, Turbo Granny steals Okarun's weenie, which curses him. She's later exorcised by Seiko, which expels her consciousness from Okarun's body, but leaves her spiritual power behind, which gave Okarun this form. In this form, Okarun gains some general buffs, like increased strength, speed, stamina, and durability in compared to his human form. He also gains the ability to go all out, which allows him to run at Turbo Granny's full 100 km/h speed for a short duration. This ability inherently gives Okarun a lot of power, as a human-sized object moving at 100 km/h has a lot of force behind it. Later in the manga, Okarun gains another ability while in this form, which is that he can travel via telephone wires in a similar way to Turbo Granny's phone teleportation. He does this by traveling around the spiral-shaped magnetic field around the cable while using Granny's speed. This is low-key one of my favorite abilities I've seen in a shonen manga. There's just something about using electricity to move like this that is really cool to me. However, later in the manga, and this is kind of a big spoiler, Okarun completes his goal of regaining both his family jewels, meaning he has to fulfill the agreement he had with Turbo Granny and return her powers to her, losing access to them in the process. Since this event, she has been completely absent from the series aside from a few minor flashbacks. Despite being a seemingly evil spirit, Turbo Granny does have a softer side, as she spent much of her time as a spirit comforting the spirits of girls who died terrible deaths. And since her defeat by Seiko, she has become a supporting member of the ever-expanding protagonist group, even helping Okarun and Aira with some training at one point. She is probably the single most important spirit we see so far, but the next spirit we're going to talk about is far less important. It's the aforementioned Earthbound crab, a location-bound spirit that manifested after a number of girls were killed in Turbo Granny's tunnel before it was her tunnel. Location-bound spirits are very powerful spirits, but their power comes with a restriction, as they are unable to use that power outside of their designated area. There's also a chance that it's just impossible for these spirits to exist outside of their area at all, as the second the crab left Shono City, the spirit was put to rest. Turbo Granny fused with this spirit after going to the tunnel to comfort the spirits of the girls that got killed there, and since then, the crab has become very protective of the old hag. As for special abilities, they're a bit ambiguous. If I'm understanding this correctly, the abilities to manipulate the tunnel that Turbo Granny made use of are only possible because she fused with the crab, but we never see the crab itself use any territory manipulation abilities, only Granny. So it could be the case that it is unable to use these abilities without another spirit to guide it. Or maybe it is possible and we just never saw it. We really don't know. Next we have another pretty important spirit in Acrobatic Silky. Silky has one main ability, which is to control her hair via her acrobatics. Basically, the way it works is she dances with such force that it controls her hair, allowing her to ensnare things with her hair and control it with high precision. This is a testament to just how proficient of a dancer she is, but it does come with a couple issues. First of all, her hair ensnares everything it touches, and in areas with a lot of obstacles, this can tangle her hair and immobilize her. Additionally, the hair doesn't react well to fire, which forces it to perm, which in turn can make getting stuff out of her hair even harder. In addition to her hair, Silky also has some insane physical stats, being strong enough to break out of Momo's psychic hands, and also being tough enough to get back on her feet after taking an all-out from Okarun. But I think the thing Acrobatic Silky is best known for is her incredibly sad backstory, where she was a single mother trying not only to provide for her daughter, but to give her an enjoyable life as well. She ultimately failed after a home invasion in which her child was taken from her and she was mortally wounded. After unsuccessfully searching for the men for a while, Ira mistook her for her own mother, which formed a bond between Silky and the child. As a result of her love for Ira, Silky ended up sacrificing herself to save Ira by allowing Momo to transfer her aura to the teen, which not only saved her, but also gave her a new spiritual form. This form gave her an ability similar to Silky's original ability, as she gains the ability to manipulate her own hair. This is a bit different than Silky's though, as her hair is not tied to her dancing prowess. Instead, her ability to manipulate her hair seems to be solely a spiritual ability, because as far as we know, Ira is not a good dancer. She does seem to gain some of Silky's acrobatic skills while in this form though, as she is far more agile and flippy than she is normally. She also gains a buff to her speed and strength, as she can keep up with beings that would normally far outscale her human form. Later, in the manga, Ira develops a special technique with her hair called Pirouette Noble Drill, which uses spiral power to form a drill that was able to drill through the suit of an alien that her normal hair couldn't get through. So definitely a good application. Those are all the spirits that play a major part in season 1, but there is still one more that is mentioned at the end of the season, and it is going to be the focus of the soon releasing movie as well as the majority of season 2, the Evil Eye. This spirit is the aura farmer of DanDaDan. Most of the time, he's considered an evil spirit, as after experiencing the torment of the Kito family, the spirit would curse other people into ending their own lives due to his hatred for the family. Over time, this hatred would spread into his desire to destroy humanity as a whole. We primarily see Evil Eye after he has possessed Gigi, using the teen's insane spiritual energy and great physical prowess to his advantage, further strengthening his capabilities. The overarching ability we see Evil Eye use is Grudge Manipulation, which allows Evil Eye to summon and manipulate the grudges of the other victims of the Kito family, using their shared rage to manifest a solid object that can affect living beings. There are two applications of this we see so far. The first is the cursed soccer ball, or football if you're not American. This ball acts very similarly to a soccer ball, being launched by a strong kick from Evil Eye. The ball then homes in on its target, ricocheting off the target to surrounding surfaces before hitting the target again, essentially pummeling them off of one kick. Additionally, Evil Eye can also make mini grudge balls by punching the initial ball, sending even more flying around the room. All of this makes fighting the Evil Eye extremely hard, as you have to deal with his physical prowess in close quarters while there's an evil ball constantly homing in on you. At this point in time, there is no known counter to this ability. The second application is this weird grudged house, which acts as an impenetrable shield, both from the outside and the inside to everyone except him. He can also control the size of the house at will. However, the house will collapse if a strong enough attack hits it, but it has to be really strong, like as strong as an all-out. Currently though, the Evil Eye is being managed pretty well, as he has agreed to only fight Okarun on Tuesdays and he's not allowed to fight outside of that, although he does seem willing to break this promise if people are getting in the way of him fighting Okarun. Next we have the music room paintings of the famous composers. I think. I'm not entirely sure if these guys are spirits or what. They manifested from the fear of these paintings rather than from an actual ghost of a person that has died, so they maybe don't count? I don't know, but I'm gonna cover them just in case. These 6 composers share a few individual abilities, like the ability to fly and the ability to shoot explosive music notes as they play, but their cooler ability is creating large-scale illusions with their music. We see 2 based off of 2 of Beethoven's symphonies. The first is Symphony 6 Pastorelle, which inhibits the movements of opponents by creating a patty field. This field gets even harder to traverse as musical notes rain down from the composers, as they till the field, which increases the odds of an opponent getting stuck in mud. The other is Symphony 9 Chorus, which summons a huge mob of singers to attack their opponents, as well as 4 huge singers which the museums hide behind. Interestingly, while this symphony is active, the composers lose their ability to fly, so there is some condition to this insanity. Overall, these guys are pretty minor antagonists used solely for training, so let's move on to one of the goats, Reiko Kashima. But before we get into her abilities, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out, and if you've been enjoying the content, it's one of the best ways to tell YouTube that you want to see more. I have a ton of fun big projects planned for the future, and I promise you won't want to miss any of them. Reiko Kashima is the strongest spirit on planet Earth, putting even strong spirits like Turbo Granny and Evil Eye to shame. We don't know exactly what led Reiko to being so strong, as her backstory is still pretty limited, but we do know what abilities she uses. All of her abilities revolve around this mirror that she carries with her. She has the ability to imprison opponents in this mirror if the reflection is shown in said mirror, and once the victim is inside, she can do pretty much whatever she wants to them. This could be messing with makeup, or destroying an entire intergalactic fleet single-handedly. This exchange also showed a few more minor details for how this mirror works, like how Reiko only needs to capture a small piece of a subject in her mirror for all affiliated parties to be captured, or how beings inside the mirror are proportionally tiny compared to Reiko, as this circle is the size of the mirror in the real world. Additionally, there is no way out of this mirror unless Reiko lets you out voluntarily, which she doesn't seem to do often. But trapping people isn't the only ability she has related to this mirror. She can also use it to attack opponents remotely, using the reflections from glass to teleport her punches. When we see her do this, the size of her fist increases a lot, but it's unclear if it was able to reach this size because of the amount of glass that was available to use, or if she can just choose the size she wants to make her fist. It's also possible that the perspective control she exhibits when attacking targets in her mirror applies to these remote attacks as well. Lastly, she can also use her mirror to watch other people as long as there is a reflective surface near them. Other than that, she possesses some typical yokai abilities, such as possession. Oh, and she can also copy other people's voices to lure other people outside. So overall, a pretty impressive and unique kit. Next we have the Hokkaido Yokai, who we don't really know anything about. It's pretty much just a background character while Seiko and Okarun talk on the phone, and it ended up getting exercised without much issue, so it didn't seem particularly strong. Next we have the Onbusuman. This thing is pretty simple. It just weighs down on its target, trying to crush them. Onbusuman are almost always spirits that have some relation to their target. This one is Mai Kawabanga, who is attached to Rin due to an accident that Rin feels guilty for. And after the two apologize to each other, Mai transforms from the Onbusuman into this little thing. She has very few abilities in this state, but during the Danmara arc, the duo combined to help Rin achieve her childhood dream of becoming an idol. When this happened, Mai took on the form of Rin's microphone, and also took on the role of Mai's producer, which prevented the fairy tale card from possessing her. But before we can talk more about the fairy tale card, we have to cover another pretty minor one, which is the Shining School building. This thing acted as another antagonist during the Onbusuman arc, chasing Rin and the others through the city after it awakened in response to the energy of the Onbusuman. Unfortunately, this spirit is a building, so it can't move on its own. Instead, it had these statues carry it, so it could chase Rin through the city and try to crush her and the parade float. Other than that, it doesn't really seem to have any special abilities besides being really big. So let's move on to a much more interesting spirit, the fairy tale card. I do not like this thing, not only because it is visually freaky, but also because it's just a sick, horrible spirit. A lot of spirits we see at least have some traumatic backstory to explain their destructive behavior, but this one just seems evil to be evil. When first introduced, the fairy tale card is trapped in Danmara, a board game world within a cursed chest that was acting as the spirit's prison. His abilities all revolve around manipulating humans, with each of his cards producing a different effect. The mouth card erases the mouths of humans in his immediate area, the ears erase the ears, and the eyes, this is going to surprise you, erase the eyes. All of these are pretty strong and good abilities, but the most important and dangerous one is his face card. The face card allows the spirit to control the mind of anyone in his radius. This alone would be a strong ability, but he also has the ability to bring out the full potential of anyone he controls, including those with spiritual powers like Okarun and Onbusuman, who is the person we see him possess. While possessing Zuma, the Fairy Tail card gained control of his Umbrella Boy abilities, which we will talk about in a second, and used them in combination with Zuma's hatred for the world to use the technique without restriction. Luckily, there is a way to reverse the Fairy Tail card's abilities, as cutting the card related to the power will temporarily disable the effect. But this spirit can heal his cards almost instantaneously and immediately use the card again. So how do you defeat it? Well, if 2 of his cards are destroyed simultaneously, they cannot be regenerated. And since there are an even number of cards, this means you can defeat him by destroying all 4 cards. The Fairy Tail card is also extremely manipulative, as the entire world of Danmara was created by the spirit in order to trick people into breaking the seals that kept him imprisoned. He can even control who is allowed to exit this game after they enter, which he used to trick Momo and the others into entering the world. Additionally, any food eaten in this world will make the eater become a being of the chest, preventing them from leaving or at least making sure they come back tiny. Next is Umbrella Boy, aka Futazuma. We really only see this spirit when it has possessed Onbusuman and during his backstory, so it's a bit hard to tell exactly how it works. When possessing Unji, the teen gains the ability to summon and control umbrellas. These umbrellas can act as normal umbrellas, but they can also create a large shockwave when they're opened, and we saw just how strong these shockwaves can be. While this ability is pretty powerful, it comes with some pretty hefty restrictions, as Unji can only use 2 umbrellas per transformation, similar to All Out. The possession also gives Unji speed and strength even when he isn't using his umbrellas. According to Turbo Granny, Umbrella Boy is usually a very sweet and peaceful spirit, which makes sense considering Futa's nature when he was alive. But when it's forced to fight, this spirit becomes unstoppable. And now we come to the 3 final spirits we see. These ones are a bit weird though, as we only see them through the usage of their abilities by Count Saint Germain. This dude, in general, wants to collect the blood of every yokai there is, and he can use the abilities of the yokais whose blood he has collected. He seems to have a ton that he can use, but we only see him use 3. These are the Black Hair Cutter, which seems to make his blade shoot black lightning, the Water Tiger, which just seemed to crack the ground he landed on, and the Jumping Crone, which he used to dodge an attack from the Fairy Tail card. Besides that, we don't really know a ton about these spirits. And at the time of recording, that's all the ones there are. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe and join the Discord. It would really mean a lot to me. I'll be back again next week with another video, so I hope to see you then.